How we doing, everybody? Tim from Ski Rex Media coming at you again with another Ski Rex Media podcast. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I also am doing well. Been skiing a bunch. Actually, let's see. What day am I recording this on? Let me look. February 3rd on the 1st and 2nd. Yes, Groundhog Day. I was out skiing. I just did 2 back-to-back days at Whaleback. Yesterday, February 2nd, was a double-header day because I went to McIntyre Ski Area down in Manchester, New Hampshire for a while, and then on my way home, stopped at Whaleback and hit some afternoon turns too. So that was pretty cool. I got the double-header day, and I'm sure if you follow Ski Rex Media on social media, you know all about that. So let's get that out of the way first. Yes, the plugging. As I do, thank you for joining me here on Ski Rex Media and Ski Rex Media Podcast. Please make sure you subscribe or follow, depending on your favorite app or location or platform's terminology. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, it says subscribe. If you're an audio only version person, then and you're using Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or iHeartRadio or Pandora, if you're on the Buzzsprout page, and so many other places you can get the Ski Rex Media podcast. Some of them say follow, some of them say subscribe, some of them is just tapping a little heart to bookmark it or again, whatever terminology they use. Please do all that. Also leave reviews where you can. 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts for Ski Rex Media Podcast. I have had them, and I know that Spotify, you can now leave reviews as well. That's been new this year. If you're still using Spotify, I know after the Joe Rogan issues they've been having over there, and people are just dropping their music, man. I'm not. I'm sticking with Rogan. I'm sticking to Spotify as well. Not that they pay me. I'm just on their platform. I just use their platform. It's a whole thing. But they've had some trouble. So if you don't use Spotify anymore and you were listening to this program there, and you would prefer, like if you found it on YouTube because you don't want to use Spotify anymore because of the all the political, social, and whatnot issues they're having over there, and Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and all these other folks, there's plenty of other audio versions out there. Again, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, all those places. The Ski Rex Media Podcast is available. And if you would please subscribe. Yeah, I really went the long way to get through that, didn't I? Also go to the social media pages, accounts, profiles, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Ski Rex Media. Very easy to find. Follow, subscribe, then maybe head over to Patreon and the Ski Rex Media merch shop. Check those out. You can follow on Patreon, obviously. And I do have to get back into using that. But if you would like to be a proud supporter of the Ski Rex Media program, the Ski Rex Media brand, please do so. Check that out as well. Right. Now that we've gotten through all that after 3 or 4 minutes, I really need to shorten that, don't I? I really do. I'll figure that out. I'll get it. I'm still learning. Yes, I'm tons of episodes in and 3 seasons in, but I'm still learning, right? I know. All right. Anyway, let's get to the interview. I have had sequels before, and I talk about this in the intro to the interview. This is a Whaleback Mountain sequel. Obviously, we had, for those who, I don't know why I said obviously, it doesn't make sense here, but for those who listen to the Ski Rex Media podcast or watch the Ski Rex Media podcast, #watching, you know that I did an episode with John Hunt, the executive director over at Whaleback Mountain, and I have a pretty good working rapport with Whaleback because of how close it is. It's the closest ski mountain to where I live and where I work here at Ski Rex Media. We talked to John Hunt. He's the executive director over there, and we talked to him all about Whaleback and small town skiing, Upper Valley skiing here. I called it Upper Valley Local because I've also talked to Mark Adamczyk up at the Dartmouth Skiway, and I've got another one lined up, not a ski mountain, but another Upper Valley Local interview coming in a few weeks, and I think you'll dig that one too. That'll be mostly for the snowboarders, that one probably, so get ready. But no, in this case, I talked to John Hunt. We talked everything Whaleback, and I love Whaleback. I've been there a few times now, finally, and really enjoying skiing over there. We talked to him all about that. Now, I also I recorded an in-person interview with Brandon Baker over at Team Amp Active for the Winter Wild Race Series. And we recorded that at Whaleback up in their pub. Also a lot of fun. And that day, John suggested to me a person whom I should ask to be on the program. And I said, who's that? And it was the director of their ski school, Katie McNall. So today, and again, I know it's taken a while. We're already 4 or 5 minutes in. It's taken a while. I know it. Today, for today's interview on Ski Rex Media Podcast, I talked to Katie McNall, the director of the ski school over there at Whaleback, a person who very nice, a lot of fun, tells good stories here for the podcast, and she has a lot of experience teaching, not just at Whaleback and running Whaleback's ski school, but in other places, including Breckenridge and others. So she's been around. She knows teaching, and we talk all about getting instruction, the differences between getting instruction at a small place like Whaleback and a large place like Breckenridge. We talk safety gear. We talk all kinds of stuff, as I usually do. You know me. We don't ever just stick to a point. We just kind of talk and see where it goes, and we get some interesting stuff and a lot of fun stuff. So here you go, my friends. Katie McNall, director of the ski school at Whaleback. We're going to talk all about all that stuff I just said and ski school instruction and learning how to ski and snowboard. And I hope you enjoyed the interview. I think you will. It's a fun one, and I will see you at the other side. Enjoy it. Thank you. So here on the Ski Rex Media Podcast, I'm all about doing sequels. Did it with the two Adams from the Out of Network over there, Out of Bounds podcast and the Pursuit podcast. Did 2 episodes, one with each Adam. That was a lot of fun. Now we're doing another sequel, a Whaleback sequel. Yes. Today we have Katie McNall. She is she's the boss lady when it comes to teaching people how to ski at the closest ski mountain to Ski Rex Media headquarters, and a place that I've really come to enjoy, Whaleback Mountain. Miss Katie, how are you doing today?
Excellent. Thank you.
Excellent. So why don't you just give us a quick overview about what you do over there at that cool little mountain?
What do we do? We teach, I would say, all the local, and actually we get people who aren't local as well, how to ski, and hopefully they can take it and they can run with it and go on vacation with their families and join larger programs or other things, or just enjoy it for life. So that's what we do.
Awesome. Now, I would imagine now, do you just run that department or do you teach as well?
I do both. I
okay.
do, especially right now with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We have a wonderful group of instructors who are very flexible. And so I don't plan to teach every day, but then I end up teaching every day. And cool. I enjoy that. It makes it much more entertaining. So,
I'm sure. And one of the things, John Hunt from over at Whaleback Mountain, and I've talked about this with other folks from smaller independent mountains, smaller mountains. You don't always do just one thing at these places. If you work there, you're doing a lot of different things. And it looks like you've already got the double header. You run it and you teach, and that's awesome. In fact, I was there yesterday, riding the T-bar up and down, and the lifty who was running that, he teaches sometimes too. I didn't get his name, but he was saying that too. So a lot of double duty over there, huh?
Or triple or quadruple.
Or there you go.
Yeah.
Keeps it interesting, keeps busy, man. You don't want to get bored. You definitely don't want to get bored. So I think one of the interesting things about talking to someone who teaches, and we could talk all kinds of stuff about teaching, but it's really the place in this case. What's it like? Like, have you ever taught at anywhere else?
Oh, yes, of course. Of course. I've taught in Breckenridge for years.
There you go.
Grew up teaching in a small mountain, though, very similar to Whaleback, outside of Buffalo. I grew up outside of Buffalo, New York, when I was in high school, and we taught when we were in high school. We taught to get a free pass, and so we could go skiing, because there's 6 kids in my family, and it had night skiing. It was very similar. It had night skiing, and my mother, in fact, would drop us off and say, "Okay, kids, pick you up at 10 p.m. because they were open till 10. Do your homework." Nice. And she would come back. And so I've taught in Breckenridge, and I've taught there, and I taught in Hunter, outside of, because I lived in Manhattan for 11 years.
Okay.
Or I worked in Manhattan. I taught at Hunter, and then I got another level of certification when I was living in Whistler, Blackcomb for a year, and I was just skiing, but I got additional teaching certification in Whistler Blackcomb when I was there for a year. So Whaleback is, I think I like it. I think it's great. So
That's awesome.
I think other
Like,
people do too.
yeah, people love the place. Like your mountain has such a following, especially right around here in the Upper Valley. Like it is a huge following, and you're clearly legit. You've taught all over the place. That mountain outside of Buffalo, which one was it?
Tamarack.
Tamarack.
Tamarack. Yes.
Ah,
yes.
All right. Shout out to them then. That's very cool. I know there's a couple around there. I don't know them all. I don't know the area well.
Yeah.
That's very awesome. So you like it, and that's awesome. What's the difference then? And this was it's perfect that you've taught at these other places and been at these other places. Whaleback small, Breckenridge not so small. What's the big difference between teaching at a place that's like super famous, like Brecken's super famous, kind of big, has a lot of people, versus something small town like Whaleback, which again is beloved, but doesn't have the draw. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just small. What's it like, the difference?
Well, I mean, it's very different. It's very different. I mean, I think, well, of course it's much more personal. And this is, I think, one of the reasons people come. But one of the benefits of Whaleback, I think, compared to a lot of the other places in this area is, this is my own personal opinion, the ungroomed terrain. The ungroomed terrain, I think, makes it so that, and even though it's short, but I think it has a microcosm of everything that you need to learn if you want to go other places or do other things, or, you know, all the different types of terrain that you might run across for the most part. You know, I mean, there aren't cliffs like there are in Whistler or whatever, you know, but you get the basic, and I really emphasize that with the instructors, and I say take them into all this stuff that they can't get at a lot of the other resorts around here because they groom everything. It makes it more personal, and I think people like the feel of the lodge and they feel welcome, and we really try to keep the class sizes small. That is one really large difference, really large. Like when I taught in Breckenridge, you would have, you would have up to 8 kids who were 4 to 6 years old, and you would have maybe up to 12 kids who were the older kids. And there is a world of difference between having, we try to have 2 to 4 kids who are 4, if they're 6 years and under. And even at that number, I mean, you are sweating bullets. You are working really hard, and it's still tricky, but at least the kids, I feel, get a lot more in an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours. Whereas when people are coming to Breckenridge, they're coming for a whole week. They're dropping their kids off, and then they're going skiing themselves. They're dropping them off for the day. And so those kids, it's okay if they're learning at a slower pace because they're there for 8 hours. They're there for 8 hours. If they learn at a slow pace, it doesn't make as much of a difference. But for us, people are coming for a short, concentrated, duration of learning. And I try to pay attention to that. And I emphasize it with the instructors too. That our customers are different. They're not just coming a lot of times to just ski with an instructor. They're coming to learn, So anyways, I think that's some of the biggest differences.
Absolutely. And I can only imagine, having a ski class size with kids in the teens and 20 kids, like total, that's a lot.
Not 20, not 20, but it might be, at least at Breckenridge, it would be 6 or 8 kids who are between 4 and 6. And it would be maybe, they would try to do 8, but sometimes it might be 10 or 12 kids who are 7 to 14.
Okay.
And
I see what you're saying.
yeah, not 20, not 20.
Yeah. I was
But
gonna say that's
and now I saw though that they changed what they say they're doing for class sizes, so maybe it's changed. This was 20 years ago, so
okay.
maybe it's changed.
Excellent. Hey, even so, like a big group. I mean, we know it. Whether even if you take it off the mountain to like elementary school, the bigger the class size, the more issues you can come up with. Not enough. The smaller is better. Like in my opinion, bigger is
It
always
always
better.
is. It always is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the idea of getting people out into ungroomed stuff. Like, I knew when I was coming up that's what I skied on was groom stuff. I learned at Memorial Park down in Brattleboro, but then the next place I was Mount Snow when I worked there, and it's a groomed up mountain, and on the days when it wasn't, it took a little to get accustomed to it. So that's brilliant. I love it. I think that's great.
There's a lot of racing programs, which is really wonderful around here too. So the nice thing is you then get experience, but you can choose.
Sure.
If you're a parent with a kid, you can then choose to have them go one way or another. So
yeah, absolutely. And Whaleback seems to embrace the racer culture, the racer kids. They were there on Tuesday.
They're there every night. There are racers.
Are there really? I missed them yesterday.
Oh no, there's racers. Yeah, last night was the Dartmouth Tuck School. They have their race night league. So
all right. Yeah, I actually banged out at like 3:30, so I was there when it was empty. Like it was beautiful. I had the whole lower face to myself. Nobody was going to that. Nobody realized that was open. So I had that whole little trail to myself for like an hour and a half. It was wonderful. Great place though, by the way. Like, I actually see, here's a little fun thing. Cause speaking of me being there the last 2 days, they're running the T-bar currently, only the T-bar.
That is changing this weekend.
That is. I heard about that. And that's
thank goodness.
Yeah, I'm ready to see the rest of the mountain. I've only seen that little bit over there.
They're having a crush the curse party, which is just too funny.
That's amazing. I love that. That is incredible. And you need to. Have a party, celebrate even the littlest thing. Celebrate this. But just that little area above the learning area. And I was in there, and that was great. But I've never been one to, and I was wishing we got this done beforehand because I was nervous because surface lifts and I we don't usually agree. I have never successfully done it till the other day. And luckily now I've mastered it at Whaleback. So I was going to be like, and I've been talking to people about it, and it really seems hit or miss. People either love surface lifts and think they're great, or hate them with a passion and don't want to go near them. Do you think that's accurate as someone who has to teach people how to ride these things? I'm
not a snowboarder. I think if I were a snowboarder, I would hate them. I bet they're very hard on snowboard. They look very hard. And as a skier, though, no. I mean, usually the kids love them. They think they're really neat and interesting. And I don't know. So
it's a curiosity to me because, like I said, I have blown Poma lifts, I've blown T-bar, I've blown them all. Except for the magic carpets. Those are fine. Those are, you don't have to do anything with that. So I was going to ask, like, I was like, man, if we could have got this done, I could have said, what's the best tip for riding these things? So throw that out there. Why not?
Well, not to sit down. Everybody sits down the first time they go on it. So, it's good practice. So when you go out west, if your family goes out west, they have them. They're just at the higher elevations, above the tree line and stuff. They have them.
Sure.
So now you can bring your kids, and your kids have done it before, and you don't have to worry about it. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I suggest learn it while you're young because I didn't, and it was a mess. But this one's great. It moves. It's fine. And I got it. I've mastered it, so I'm ready to tackle them wherever. It's very cool. The learning area over there now. I don't want to say it feels small because I don't know. Is it like I haven't been in a learning area? Go ahead.
They have entire mountains that are learning it. I mean, and if you're out in Europe, I mean, or large places, it goes forever and ever. So what that means is that you have to teach differently. You have to teach with a real focus on people's technique. So you have to watch what they're doing with their feet, and you have to, there isn't enough room for people to gradually understand and like gradually try something. They either can do it or they can't do it because there's not a long duration. So what that means is you look and see what their feet did, their body did, and you see were they able to do what you just asked them to do or showed them to do. And if they weren't, then you don't ask them to try it again. You go and you ask them to do the next easiest thing instead. So you ask them to do something different, and you ask them to do the next easiest thing. You see if they can do that, and then you have to work. So you work backwards technique wise, and then forward, backward and forward. And that's different than if you have a lot of run out room and a lot of tons of room where you can try to do the technique thing for a quarter of a mile.
Sure.
So
yeah,
we don't have that. So what it means is that you have to be a better teacher. You actually have to be a much better teacher. So I'm doing a lot of training with the staff because that way, if they ask a kid to do something, the kid can't do it, then what do you do? And if you were at a big resort where you have a lot of room, then the kid could just keep trying it on something like more flat. You have more variation of flat terrain. So, well, one of the things I did this year was because even the magic carpet, people look and they're like, oh, the magic carpet, oh, that's so easy. But for a beginner, our magic carpet is actually on a little bit of a steeper slope, and there isn't as much runoff room. And it doesn't look like it for a regular person, but it is.
No, it doesn't.
Learning to ski. So I bought, like walking, it's called a scent mat, but anyways, it's, some matting. And that way we can put it on the exact terrain that is perfect for whatever skill you're asking the person to learn. So I take and and it just looks like a long carpet runner made out of rubber, a carpet runner made out of. And so I'll move it to exactly where I want on the hill for that person to learn that skill. And then I'll drag it over here, or I'll give it a little bit more of an, and you can move it around. And then it makes it so that the person can learn the techniques you want without getting like in like a defensive type of positioning and being afraid they're picking up too much speed, because they wouldn't be picking up too much speed because you can move it around and control. And two, it's different for kids versus adults because adults have more mass, and so they'll pick up more speed. And then, of course, if you're heading for the parking lot, because the parking lot's right there, So, last year, certainly last year, I saw kids running off into the park.
Oh man!
It's like, but so you can solve that with a bunch of things. So
sure.
A little net, we put a little berm, a little snowbank, and and a little thing. But then also you can. I got this mat so that you can change the terrain they're going on. So, anyways,
that's that's actually interesting that you talk about running off into the parking lot.
Yeah.
As a chuckle, because I didn't even think about it. And to this is the point I'm making, is that, the instructors, they have so much more to think about. Like once we know how to do it, we're just doing it. It doesn't matter. Yeah. They have to think about this stuff. And yesterday when I left, I parked right by the, right in front of the chairlift, and I just rode right up to my car. Didn't even consider it. Didn't even think about it.
Right. Yes. and kids will do that too, but they can't stop.
Exactly.
So, so it's best not to have people running into the parking lot. So we solved that. And
that's good. Because you don't want anybody to get hit by a car. That's one thing. So be careful. everybody driving into a parking lot where the learning area, doesn't matter what mountain you are, is right there. That's great. And it sounds almost like you've customized the curriculum in a way. Like, I don't know if that's the right word, but
that's
it's like,
exactly what it is. That's exactly
yep.
what it is. Yeah. I mean, because it's, it's a different learning area than the other areas around here. All the other areas around here, their learning area is physically longer.
Sure.
Ours is physically shorter because we're in a short little steep hill. And because of that, that's exactly what I needed to do. And so I did it. But I mean, they do that with all terrain, everywhere. If you have a race course, they choose where they want to put it. If they have based on what they're trying to do. Same with terrain parks. They build up the area as they want it to be. And that's basically what we're doing with our little learning area. So
yeah, awesome. Now, thinking about the little learning area yesterday, and I don't know how common this is because I haven't gotten to ski there much, but there was a couple like small terrain park like features just to the left if you were facing up. Now, do you just teach basic skills and that's set up there, or do you teach terrain park technique? Do you teach other technique other than basic skills all around, like even glade skiing or anything like this?
Oh no, of course, yeah, no, we do.
Okay,
it's based off of the instructors that we get year to year. So right now we have quite a few very strong terrain park skiers, and
nice.
And we also have some strong glade skiers. And so when we get kids or groups who are black level or higher blue level, I encourage that. Well, because Breckenridge has a massive terrain park. And so when I was in my 20s, I was going in the terrain park. So, and when I was in Whistler, I was pretty much never on, I was always in the glades. And so, so absolutely right now if we have the instructors, we do it, we encourage it and we do it and we bring them in, and, get them started. And of course, Whaleback has a core team in a lot of the areas around here. The core team, when I came here, I was like, what is the core team? The core team is the freestyle team. And a lot of areas around here have a freestyle team. So no, right now we have kids who are taking it up with our instructors. So
that's incredible. I think back to my days back in the 90s is, this terrain parks were just being born. Like, I worked at Mount Snow in the late 90s. At Corinthia, they had the half pipe, and that was it. And that was fancy at that time.
And I was very surprised to see at Whaleback, they have, so if you're part of the core team, so the same way you would go and maybe join Ford Sayer for racing. So Whaleback has their core team. So you could take introduction lessons with the ski school, but then if you like it a lot and your kid wants to pursue it, they could do the core team. And they have trampolines. I mean, like the type of trampolines they have at the training facilities in Lake Placid for like the Olympians go and train on the trampolines and learn flips and all this stuff. And they have those trampolines at Whaleback. And I was very surprised to see that, but they have it.
That's amazing.
So that's how these kids are. They're really good. The kids on these freestyle teams. All right.
It's really come into its own. I never thought tricking was going to not just on a competitive level, but on a recreation level was going to reach the level that it is, where folks who teach it are now teaching it. Like, it was back in the day, it was you do it, you learn it, you get hurt, and then you do it again. Now you actually get someone who says, all right, here's how you avoid getting hurt, here's how you do it. That's amazing to me. That's so awesome.
Practice on trampolines and all of this. It really helps so that you can learn what, the precursor stuff with the lowest likelihood of injury. So
absolutely. Like, believe me, I was considering hanging out with the little kids. Like, all right, little kids, how do you, and their instructor, of course, but how do you ride a box? How do you land? Because I can land little jumps, because that's a technique we should all have. But then they progress to these big things. It's like, how do you do that? Because I don't know how to do that. And I've never been able to do it. Not that I haven't tried, but literally I get to the top of the jump and I try to jump and I just kind of bloop off it. I don't know how to go any higher. It's very strange. I'm a very strange skier, it would seem. But that's awesome. And I don't know, one of these days when I'm over there, I might have to come bother one of your instructors who can teach skis, because I kind of want to get back into trees and I haven't done it in years and I'm very nervous about it. I'm actually scared of it. I'm not even going to lie or sugarcoat it.
I think most people are. I really think most people are, which is why I try to encourage the instructors to take the advanced level kids into the trees so that they don't become afraid of it, because you don't have to be, as long as the idea is to know what you're able to do and not able to do, and it's best to figure that out with a teacher. I think if you're trying harder things that have higher consequences if you're not good enough.
No, I agree with that 100%. Like, I have done it. I did it back in the day, but I was off skis for like 6 years, and people were always like, "Oh, it comes right back to you. It's like riding a bike." I'm a chicken. So it wasn't like riding a bike for me. And, trees, everybody talks about it. I'm like, I don't need to do that anymore. But, the more I see it and I see the people doing it and I'm growing confidence in my skills again, I'm just like, kind of want to do that again. That looks like a lot of fun. But it's awesome that someone can show you how to do it and pull you out if you screw it up, which is what I'm scared of doing.
We have a program this year, and if anyone wants to sign up, no one has, but we haven't had enough snow till now, but we're about to get a ton. Yep. We have a steeps, trees, and bumps program that's for adults or older teenagers and adults. And I made one that's a women's one that is a mixed, adults and women, and one that's kids.
Cool.
And so anyone is welcome to come and sign up. It looks like we're about to get a snowstorm, so everything will fill in and we'll have some terrain to learn that kind of thing on.
And do it, everybody who can. The Whaleback is great. In the show notes and descriptions and stuff, there will be all the Whaleback's contact info plus whaleback.com. You can find that all there. Call them up if you want to and be like, "Hey, how do I sign up for this?" Because that's awesome. And when does that start?
It starts in about 2 weeks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Because this episode will be out before that. So we'll get some eyes on it. That'd be good. That's incredible. That's awesome. I don't know. I might have to do it myself. I'll have to see what my schedule is now, because like I said, I'm a chicken and I wouldn't mind having someone hold my hand that actually knows what they're doing. Now, as a professional and someone who has a lot of experience teaching, this is kind of a silly question, but I have to ask it because it does have a serious tone. Well, do you agree? It's not even a question. Do you agree, if you're learning, get someone who knows how to teach you, not your best friend, not your husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, not just somebody. Let a pro teach you, someone who knows how to do it. That's definitely better.
I think it depends on how fast you want to learn. That's my opinion.
Okay, that's interesting.
If you want to learn fast, you get an instructor, because you will learn so much faster.
Totally.
It also depends, I think, because I don't know. I think a lot of people like me, you grow up skiing and you're just bombing around with your friends, and eventually over time you figure it out. I mean, I think anybody can do that with most things. And I think the difference is if you want to learn fast. So especially you have family members, you go skiing with friends or with family, they're able to do certain things and you're not. And they're going on terrain that makes you nervous. This kind of thing happens constantly. We get a lot of people who come, and they come and they do. We have a great learn to ski package, but also, I'm going to teach someone who wants to get stronger on blues or blacks because they're going with family or friends, and they're out of their comfort zone, and you don't learn as fast by yourself. You just don't at all. So, I mean, the other thing too is I find, especially for more challenging terrain, people have been told the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do. And They don't know that because their friends think they know what they're talking about, but they haven't skied in. So like if you're skiing only in off-piste terrain in Whistler day after day after day, like I did, you'll figure out on your own. And I didn't take less. that what you had been told and what you thought was the way to go through terrain and make your way through any type of terrain and all of the extreme stuff is probably wrong. And you didn't know that because you haven't been on hard enough terrain yet. So I think a lot of the off-piste terrain is very easy around here, and so people think that that, you know, so they're the way they do it is actually much more difficult, but also you're more prone to fall, or it's you're not going through it in the manner that you would if you were actually doing that in very difficult surroundings. So
Sure.
anyways, if you take a lesson, then
Totally.
then you will learn how to navigate all that sort of stuff in advance of getting yourself in these situations, I think, because then people get themselves in situations and they're like, oh my God. I run across people all the time when I go skiing by myself, all the time, who have gotten dragged on stuff, and their friend, boyfriend, husband, you know, whatever is yelling at them to I love it, just turn. You know, that's the best one. Just turn. And you're just like, oh my God. And you're like, no, don't just turn here. This terrain is too hard for you and you are going to fall immediately. Don't turn, side slip down. So you tell them how to side slip. Okay, they managed the terrain. They're down. They managed.
Sure.
Like, and anyways, it's always
That's so good.
husband or brother, the boyfriend, husband or brother, or it's like a bunch of guys where one of the guys is significantly different in ability. So anyways,
Nope. You're right.
I think lessons are really great if you want to just and if you've never done it before, or if you are whatever level and you just want to quickly, you know, pick it up a notch, that's the way to do it. So
Absolutely. And I agree. And it's so funny you bring up like the group of guys and there's always one. We had a situation like that. And luckily the one specifically, I've successfully taught one person how to ski in my life. And I see how he has progressed over the years. And he really, at least the last time I skied with him, there was really no progression. I couldn't translate where I was to him. Like he could get up and down the mountain on green, blue, black basic. That's fine. But he can't really progress because I can't translate that. I know how to do it for me. I can't, I'm not like you who can look at someone, assess the situation, be like this, and this. So he didn't get the experience he should. Like if he would have gotten that experience, he should have. Not to mention the fact he and I combined tried to teach his wife how to ski. And I thought that was going to erupt into one of the biggest marital fights I ever saw right next to.
So sad.
It really was. But she's
all the time where people get frustrated with the other person because they can't they say, oh, just do this. Well, what I was just telling you, where if the terrain does not allow you to do what that other person asked you to do, sure. Like the instructor doesn't get frustrated and it's like, just do it. Like the instructor goes, oh, okay, they physically can't do it. Obviously, well, let me go backwards and do the next easiest thing, There
you go.
So, yeah. And then they are able to do it, in another 15 minutes or something, sure. Or 30 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So anyway.
Yeah. No, you're right. I love that I have someone who knows what they're talking about, who can help me push that ideology that just go get your lesson. I tell people now I won't teach anymore. I won't try and instruct someone because I just can't. It's not in my skill set. Yes, I can do it. We have a set of teenagers in our friend group, my friends' kids, and their parents asked me, do you want to take one of them up, the one that wants to learn skiing? I'm like, no, go take them and get the lessons, man. Don't. And their uncle, who's my best friend, said the same thing as a snowboarder. He's like, I could show them things, but let them get the best experience they can and learn the right stuff.
It makes life much easier. And two, I run across so many people who tried to get taught by families and then it didn't work out and they come to Whaleback. And a lot of times they come to Whaleback because it's right on the highway and it's very easy.
Sure.
and right after work, and we're open at night.
Yeah.
So they're, working professionals, and they'll just do, they come and they do, and they're like, oh, why didn't I do this before? This is so, and I love,
Absolutely.
yeah, because you had to go through the
Totally.
pain of trying to have other people teach you first.
Yeah.
Kids and
No.
family. Oh, anyways.
Yeah. Go to
And
Whaleback and learn.
there's also there's the embarrassment factor, I
Yep.
think. And a lot of people are embarrassed when they're, especially professionals or kids, everybody, they like to feel competent.
Yep.
Everyone likes to feel competent. And you're learning something where you fall down very easy, and then you don't feel competent. And one of the other things that I really, really try to make, at least everyone I teach,
Sure.
make them feel very comfortable with the fact that, like, falling is so normal in skiing, and
Oh,
it's
totally.
maybe not normal in other sports, but it's very normal in skiing. And the people who aren't pushing their boundaries don't realize that. And you see there's a lot of adults who think you shouldn't be falling, and kids too think you shouldn't be falling. And if you have medical problems, or if you're, have, what I've got a bum knee, okay, maybe you want to not be falling. But generally, the idea is to take the embarrassment away, and to really just make it a learning environment, and to not have it have like all these other mental connotations of, like, and so that people just feel that it's a fun thing, and it doesn't matter if you fall or you don't fall. Anyways, that's I when I was skiing by myself in Whistler for years, I mean, I would fall 10 times a run, 15 times a run, in places where there's very low severe consequences. And what is severe consequences? You don't fall. Severe consequences equal to not fall. So the idea is you teachers can take people into this different types of terrain. They get accustomed to, where am I going to fall? Where am I not going to fall? And they grow their skill base, and then they go off with their families, or they go on to better stuff.
There you go. That's awesome. I love that, because I have always said, embrace the biff. I say that, like, if you fall, embrace it, enjoy it, as long as you don't get hurt, obviously. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about if someone sees you. Again, the embarrassment factor. Don't worry if someone sees you. The most you're going to have, the worst that'll happen is someone's going to run up to you and say, hey, dude, you okay? And you made a new friend. That's it. No one's going to make fun of you. You're fine. Plus, it's attention. People are giving you attention, Take the attention where you can get it. And I also had a supervisor back in my Mount Snow days who used to say, if you're not falling, then you're not trying. So I was like, you know what? I live by that now.
Yeah. I really agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it go ahead.
Well, and the faster you go, sorry, let me turn off the ringer. The faster you go, the less it hurts to fall. So
yeah,
skip along like a stone.
Yep. Speaking of falling, though, as a professional, this is something I tell people. If you feel yourself going down on skis, especially skis, not a snowboard, because snowboard, you're already sideways. If you go down on skis, don't sit backwards. Like, if you feel yourself going down, don't allow yourself to sit. Go sideways, because you turn into a rocket sled if you sit. Is that something that you can agree with?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you want to flop around and be very loose, because then you don't hurt yourself if you flop around and you're very loose. And then you also want to, if you can, rotate your body so that your head is facing uphill and your skis are downhill.
Sure.
And try to slow yourself down using the skis. And also, I mean, we don't have this kind of terrain, but I mean, ideally you want to have head uphill, and then you can jab your poles in, and if you still have your poles, you jab your poles in and use them as or you could jab your elbow in and use your elbow to slow yourself down if you jab your elbow in. So
I tell people that stuff because we saw an absolute horror show of a woman who went down on a fairly steep diamond. She sat back, she turned into an out of control sled and hit a tree.
Oh, I have never seen that before.
Yeah, it was brutal. She survived and she was hurting, I'm sure. Like she broke ribs, like all of them, I'm sure. I don't know. Again, this is another Mount Snow story. So we knew almost all the patrollers. So we got we asked, we're like, dude, we saw that. Like, and it was a horror show. But she was fine. She didn't feel fine for probably weeks. In fact, her season was probably over at that point. So I tell people, man, hit the ground so you are friction and you stop the best you can. And, because there is a right and a wrong way to fall. Again, as a professional, I tell people there's a right way to fall. And I get these cross-eyed looks like, how is there a right way to fall? I was like, in every sport.
Yeah, the looser you are, the less likely you are to tear things, hurt things at all. If you tense up a lot, just the more you fall, the more you tend to be loose about it, and you just flip yourself right around, and your skis are below you, and they slow you down, and you stand right back up. You see professional skiers falling constantly, but if you're not used to falling, then you're really tense, and then you're more likely to hurt something. So,
Absolutely. And, it's like, man, you got just fall. Don't put your hands out and break a wrist. That sucks. I've done that. We
had a kid last week who did. Oh, he was learning to snowboard. Poor boy.
Yep. That's especially.
If people are learning, when I attempted to learn snowboarding, you can always take the very, smart, but people might make fun of you option of wearing rollerblading wrist guards and knee pads.
Yep.
So that's what I did when I tried to learn snowboard.
And actually, that's exactly where I was going to go next was equipment. Now, when I broke my wrist falling, it was on inline skates. So there you go. It was on a pair of rollerblades, actual rollerblade branded inline skates. And I wasn't wearing any pads or a helmet, which typically I do. Just that day I didn't. I was getting cocky and I fell. And to save my knees, I did something stupid and I put my hands out in front of me instead of just taking it in the shoulder, and broke my wrist. My first thing my doctor asked was, were you wearing pads? And I put my head down and then he put the cast on me and sent me on my way. Yeah, I didn't lie about it. But safety equipment now in the last bunch of years, I've gotten, well, those of us who have been around since the, like, say the 90s, turn of the century, and today, we've seen the transition of there was like one person on the whole mountain with a helmet to now there's like one person on the mountain without.
It's really astonishing. I think it's unbelievable how because of course, it used to be a very like uncool thing, and now and so nobody did it because it was not cool, and now of course it's just a standard. It's just a normal thing to do. So, and nobody even questions it. And of course you see kids doing all sorts of funny things like putting dinosaur spikes on their helmet, and who knows.
I love those.
So I love them. Yeah, I personally have been sliding in a patch of trees before and smashed, and my head hit the tree when I was sliding down, and lo and behold, my helmet saved my head from smashing against the tree. Now it doesn't, a lot of people don't know, you probably do, I don't know, but that it does not prevent against all types of concussions. It prevents against, fracturing your skull and, more minor things. But if you're going very fast, of course, your brain will hit the inside of the skull, unfortunately. So, but it definitely does, it does quite a bit. So, and bindings these days are great too. Bindings these days are just absolutely wonderful, and it can prevent against so much. And if someone has really bad knees, there are bindings that are specifically designed to release really well in a pivoting manner, and those can help prevent against knee trauma more than they're more expensive. They're much more expensive.
Totally.
But you'll see all of the freestyle skiers get these types of bindings. And if you have knee problems and you're skiing or taking up skiing, you have money for those kinds of bindings that cost $400. The bindings, you should get them. So
Yeah. A- Absolutely. Don't skimp on safety equipment if you can help it. It's actually bring it up interesting. A lot of people don't bring up the fact that, you know, a helmet is a wonderful thing. I use one now too. I always said for years and years, if the mountains start requiring them, then I'll get one. I just got one and said, you know what? This is wonderful. It's also warmer than your hat, people out there. But the thing is that you're right. They do a lot of good work, but don't get cocky with it because you can still get hurt. In fact, in our area, we have Dartmouth Hitchcock up the road here, and the Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center, and you know the medical school over at Dartmouth College, and they had a study that said, you know, people are still getting, they think it, even though helmet use has gone up, they still see awful trauma injuries of people getting smashed faces, broken jaws, smashed noses, smashed eye sockets because people are getting cocky. Don't get cocky with your helmet. You could still get hurt, but definitely have it. So we all agree on that. Do you, whether you want to talk about you personally or what you would suggest, like you did say using, like when you're learning how to snowboard, go ahead and use your inline skating gear. So if you fall, you got your wrist guards. Your knees do come into play as you kneel down. Use your knee guards. Do you suggest anything else? Like even I suggested to somebody, I suggested to people once, and people thought I was kind of silly, but I've thought about getting a mouth guard like football players have and hockey players and other sports like this. Do you suggest any stuff like that?
You know, I do if you are doing certain types of things. If you're doing the terrain park, I personally would recommend they make, so Burton makes and I don't know, other manufacturers make the spinal, it looks like a little backpack, like a little camelback, but it actually is a fake vertebrae, fake vertebrae spine. And when I was in Whistler, all the teenage boys, these packs of roving teenage boys, you'd go in the cafeteria, they take their coat off, and they're all wearing them. They all had on these fake vertebrae to prevent against their spine breaking. So I mean, these are kids who are doing train parks and all of these types of things, and you're going on rails, you're going on whatever. And there's also and I have of course I don't do it anymore and I don't wear it anymore, but there's shorts you can buy that Burton makes shorts, and other companies do too, where there's hard padding for panels in various parts of the shorts on the sides, and then also where the tailbone is, so that you won't break your tailbone. So if you're concerned about that, that's not like a backpack thing, that's like a short, a shorts type of thing. So there's those options. And I know people who are learning to snowboard. I think it's easier to break your tailbone when you're snowboarding than other things, skiing, but the general skier doesn't need these things, I don't think.
Yeah. And again, it all is about what you do. Like I don't wear back protection, but you're right. It's very similar for those who don't know about it. If you've ever seen a motorcycle rider on the highway, it looks like he's wearing a bulletproof vest. He or she, they're not. That's what that is a type of back protection. In the ski world and snowboard world, we have similar things. Also there's, hip protection, tailbone protection, so many things. And again, it depends on what you do. And then make sure you tailor it to that. Better to have it. Like I said, I've considered getting a mouth guard because there's times you end up hitting a couple, some bouncy stuff and you might bite your tongue or break a tooth. And that's not fun either. Again, 90% of the time you probably won't need it. It's that other 10% that you might. But again, tailor it to yourself. She's right. Generally speaking, we don't all need a back protector. But hey, I mean, if you want to wear it though, go for it.
I mean, I don't know. It just feels like you're wearing a little camelback or something. So
yeah, that's awesome. I agree with that.
I recommend, I think parents who have their kids doing, if I had my kid doing all of the terrain park features, especially rails and things, I mean, I would get it for them. I mean, I'd make the investment. I'd get it for them, personally, rather that than, So
no, I agree.
I think most people don't need these things though. Yeah.
There you go. a very honest, professional answer, and I like that. And I think safety is a good place to leave it off. You have anything else you want to throw out there? Anything else you want to plug, talk about?
No, no. John is doing a great job, by the way, though. I will
Oh, there
say
you go.
he is doing a great job. And talk about wearing a lot of hats. That is exactly what is going on, what's happening. So
John's a great guy, man. I dig him. And he's actually, I don't want to say building. He I love him. He's a good guy. So he's great. And I interact with him not as much in the last couple of weeks as I've been trying to get things going back here at Ski Rex Media headquarters after the COVID. I'm not going to let anybody forget I was sick. I want all the sympathy I can get. But he's great. Whaleback is great. I love Whaleback. And like I said, I've only been able to do the small section off the T-bar so far as my first year there, and I can't wait to hit the rest. It looked great, and people are hitting it. Like if you ski around just that section and look up the trails, people are uphilling and still taking that thing down.
We have nighttime uphill races as well. So if anyone likes doing uphill, we have uphill nighttime races, so you can come and do that.
Actually, before I end it, and speaking of uphill, I know I said we should probably leave on safety because that would be a good place, but bringing it back around to teaching, with just like freestyling, tricking, and this stuff has gotten popular, so now ski schools are teaching it. Are you gonna, or do you think you should, or are you considering starting to teach a touring thing? Because the uphill thing is now gotten so huge, and so many mountains, even in our area, just either allow it for free or a small fee. It's never more than $5 anywhere, maybe 10. Have you considered getting people to teach that, or we're just gonna let that ride?
Well, we have the weekly event, but we don't have any teachers. Right, again, it's based off of what teachers do you have that can teach it. So I took up telemark when I lived in Whistler, and I did quite a lot of telemark, but I am not doing it anymore. It's hard on the knees.
It looks it.
Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore, and there's nobody else at our, on our staff right now that can do it. So for us, it's based off of what instructors we have going at that year. And I think a lot of other places, it's probably a similar thing. Because if you're a big resorts, I mean, you certainly see the offering of telemark lessons and touring lessons, but at the moment we don't have anyone who could teach it.
Nice.
Anyways, and I'm not doing it anymore. So
there you go.
Anyways, okay, but no, it's growing in popularity, and backcountry is growing in popularity too.
Yeah,
and hopefully next year we'll see.
Hey, that would be awesome. Like, and again, as these, touring and backcountry, as these continue being popular, I wouldn't be surprised to see places like Whaleback starting to teach it. And again, that's up to the boss here, but and who's on staff. But like out in Colorado, you got Bluebird Backcountry out there. That's what they do. They teach backcountry in a more controlled environment. So it is going to become a thing, and it is being taught. And I think that's great. Teach it. I don't know anything about touring. I want to learn, but
yeah, and I think I could. A lot of people around here, I think, would love it because there's such a strong cross country, contingency around here. There's a tremendous amount of cross country skiers, and so I could really see backcountry, or touring becoming very popular. So, and the idea is that if we were to offer it, then you make sure that people then learn all of the safety issues involved and start, learn avalanche, do some avalanche training, do all of this different kind of thing, and do it responsibly, so they don't end up buried under snow. So
absolutely,
and to really take it up, it is quite, I think, prohibitively expensive.
It is pretty pricey.
Take it up. So, and especially things like the backpack with the inflatable device and all of these, beacons and everything, they're all quite expensive, but I could see it becoming, more and more popular in this area. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like the deeper out into the backcountry you go, the more gear you need. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay.
Well, there you go. We just a lot about instruction. A lot from a seasoned veteran, which is good. Has a lot of excuse me, experience from all over the place. So this was awesome, Miss Katie. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. I hope you all continue to have a good season over there at Whaleback. I'll see you over there. I plan on getting there much more often. I am a pass holder, so there on everybody. Yeah, dude, it's a great mountain and a great place to learn. It has that smaller, more, I don't want to say controlled, confined, intimate. I don't know the word I'm looking for but it is smaller. It's going to be a better experience. And all trails lead to the same spot, so you can't get lost. It's a wonderful place. I love the place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful. It really is.
It is.
It's a microcosm of large mountains out west. That's what it is. All in one little tiny itsy bitsy package.
Yep. And
ready for you to learn and practice and have fun and have a great night. So
that's awesome. Excellent. And if you're interested in learning there, you go to Whaleback's website. That link will be down there. Sign up, give them a call, head over there. Why not? The hours are also on the website. And check it out, dude. It's worth it. And then if you obviously don't live around here or you're not visiting here, check your local mountain, because they're going to have, they're going to have an instruction as well. Check it out. It's fun. It's a great sport. Get into it. I love it. Thank you, Miss Katie. I do appreciate you doing this with me.
Thank you very much. It was nice to chat with you.
Absolutely. And we'll see you during the winter. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
And there you have it, everybody. Thank you again to Katie McNall. Very, very fun interview. That was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing that one as well. Learned a few things, and we got to talk about a few things. And I've had some of the stuff that I've said to people about teaching confirmed by a professional who knows a lot more about teaching than I do. Absolutely. Thank you for watching or listening. #watching. I certainly do appreciate it. If you are in the Upper Valley or visiting the Upper Valley and are interested in learning at Whaleback, head to whaleback.com. You see it scrolling down there at the bottom of the screen if you're watching, and it's in all the show notes, descriptions, etc. Again, if you're listening to the podcast and you're in your car, wait till you stop. Don't pick up your phone. You don't want that cell phone ticket. And it's dangerous. But the link is there as well. And you can get all the contact information for Whaleback Mountain. So you can call that up and get yourself in to learn. They'll teach you just about anything, and they'll do it in a nice, small environment, small class sizes, any ages. Actually, damn, that's something I forgot to ask her about was, I didn't have it in my notes, and I thought about it on the way while we were talking. I was like, oh, we should talk about how the difference between talking to teaching young kids as students and adults as students. So I don't know, maybe we'll find her if we can later in the season. We'll just ask her that one question. Maybe while I'm over there, I'll be like, hey, you want to do a quick question here just for the fun of it? And we'll do that. But anyway, yes, get in touch with Whaleback. And if you're not here, go to your local mountain or the mountain you're visiting. I'm sure they have instruction there of all different kinds of shapes, sizes. Even call your local park, like I said and have said many times. I learned to ski at Memorial Park down in Brattleboro, Vermont, and it's just a park with a T-bar. And, I learned how to ski there. So contact your local parks authority. Maybe they know a place. And get your lessons and get out there. You'll enjoy it. Just trust me, you'll enjoy it. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be afraid of falling. Don't be embarrassed if you do. And again, get instruction. The instructor will not get frustrated like your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, best friend, whomever might. And they won't ditch you either. Right? Right. Thank you again for joining me for the Ski Rex Media Podcast. Again, I hope you enjoy it. Next week, we will have another episode with another interview. And the week after that, we'll have an episode with another interview. And that one's going to be interesting. Next week's interview should be, and again, scheduling changes, but if all goes according to plan, next week we'll be talking to Lindsay Delorier. She runs Bolton Valley over there. That should be a lot of fun, and that should be an in-person interview. But the day after I do her interview, I'm also going to the Hermitage Club, the private mountain down there in southern Vermont. It is on Haystack. It was once just called Haystack, and that'll be the following week. So we have a couple of interviews that should be pretty interesting. coming from going from a public mountain being the way a public mountain's being run to the way a private mountain's being run. So that should be interesting. So stay tuned for both of those in the coming weeks. Follow on social media so you know when they're coming out. Subscribe or follow whichever or wherever you watch or listen to the podcast, so you'll know it's coming out there. And we'll see you out on the hill. I'm going to be doing some more skiing. Don't know if I'll go today because it's raining here, and I don't know if I want to deal with that, but it's supposed to snow later, so who knows? Right. I'll see you out there. We'll be doing more podcast stuff. We'll be doing more social media stuff. We'll be doing more on skirexmedia.com, which will eventually, hopefully, get finished and designed the way I want it to, because I still don't like it. Right. I'll get to it. I'll fix it. Anyway, I'll see you out there. Have a good day. Have a good evening. Have a good whenever you're listening to this. And I will see you out there. I'll see you on the next one. Later.